Hi there! Welcome back to the Rare Book Views channel, where I talk about how much I love books and reading and book collecting and having a special edition of a book to read. I want to thank everybody who has subscribed. It's so much fun for me. I really do appreciate it. And today we're going to talk about a fun comment from a friend of mine. I mentioned a book that I think was a Folio edition, and she didn't know about them, and she read about them and said this had unleashed a little bit of a problem because now she wants all of them. They really are beautiful editions, and so I'm going to show you the ones that I have. I don't have many because I'm super frugal, but I have found a few at a bargain price, and one of the coolest is the copy I have of Jane Austen right now is the collection in the Folio edition. I paid about $40 for these in a charity shop, and I love them. You can also get, I had a copy or a set of the individual books that were in individual slipcases. I am awkwardly trying to get one out to show you the edition. Okay. They have this herringbone on them, and in the ones where they have individual slipcases, they come in different colors, and they are slightly different heights, I discovered, depending on the year that they were published. But this one has a nice, it's got a really nice frontis illustration. It is 1970s. The chapters, they have some illustrations in them, and then as you go through, the chapters have a nice little border occasionally for the text. Feels good in your hand. It has some gilt. It makes you feel like I am reading something that is classic. Beautiful. That set, you can buy a copy on eBay. They are a little bit on the higher end. I think in a store they would also be probably around $50 to $100 if you were lucky, and they go up from there. It does have the heavy hitters, Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility, so that tends to drive the price up. For the other folios that I am very lucky to own, I have the Hobbit. Oh, so lucky. It is beautiful. You can see there's a difference in this one from the Jane Austens. The amount of sort of extra on this one is at the high end. This is an expensive one. I have rarely seen them for sale individually, so I don't really know the pricing. It does have a map on the end paper. It does have illustrations. They are really cool. They're almost sort of woodcutty. Very nice. I also have a couple random ones, and you can see why I was able to find these at good prices. This is Animal Farm. Kind of a cool edition. It has black and white illustrations. They're a little sort of whimsical, kind of almost impressionistic, and it is a shorter book. And this one I did also get at a bargain price, but I don't remember what it was. I did not keep good records at the time. I had the Scarlet Pimpernel, and I had never read this, so this felt like a very cool copy to have. This is a very readable classic book. This is actually really fun. This edition from Folio is very modern arty. It's very impressionistic. It is glossy, which the frontispiece, and that makes it feel a little higher end when you're reading it, like you're reading something very fancy. The illustrations are sort of pasted in, right? Their entire page, so they're glossier, but also sort of strange. It is a book. The narration, the text, one of the features is this idea of appearing to be something you are not. So maybe that is what is leading to this particularly modern artistic style. It is a great copy. If you haven't read it, the Folio edition is wonderful. This one I talked about when I purchased it. I got a crazy good deal on this book in a charity shop, and I could not decide if I was going to keep it because I have a vintage copy of The War of the Worlds, but I could not let it go. This is, look how beautiful this is. This is probably $50 to $100 maybe on eBay. Again, if you're lucky, and the winds really blow on this. This is one of those titles that many people collect, H.G. Wells. Many people love this book. So to get a copy of this, his other books, Folio printed this both as individual books of his and as a set. And so I really haven't seen many examples of the individual ones sell where it's the War of the Worlds. I found a couple examples where his other books had sold individually, but not this one. So I'm guessing a little bit at the price. I paid $5. So lucky. Okay, this is the frontispiece. If you are an H.G. Wells fan, and I am, because he's weird, and I love a good weird book, these illustrations are just amazing. Folio does, you can find these in a used bookstore, right? People understand the value of the Folio editions. You can also order them from Folio, and I'll try to find the website and put the details in the notes. They come out every so often with the new books that are available in the Folio edition, and sometimes they are so cool. Follow them on Instagram and it will brighten up your day. Those are some beautiful, beautiful books. They are kind of, you have to save up for them basically if you're me. Or get very lucky in a used bookstore. The alternative is, I think, what I will recommend is Heritage Press, also in a slipcase. This is American, so it is a little bit easier this side of the ocean than Folio. And I have a couple examples. This is War and Peace. This is a very fun edition. If you haven't read War and Peace, I have to tell you, it's great. It is long. Tolstoy, what a great guy. He gave everybody, and those are Russian characters, so this is slightly normal and not Tolstoy specific, but man, he does it up. These people have names in Russian, and they have titles. They have anglicized names. So Catherine is sometimes called Kitty, and they also have nicknames in Russian. So Catherine might be Katya and Catherine, and then whatever her royal title is, and then also Kitty. And because it's Tolstoy, not only is he Russian, so everyone has a million names, there are a million characters. So keeping track of them is a little bit of a challenge. War and Peace is long. It is wonderful. It is a very good book to read, especially if you're into classics or trying to get into classics. It did not occur to me. I read someone review this book and talk about it and say their goal was to read it without skipping the battle scenes. It never occurred to me to skip the battle scenes. Why didn't I do that? They're so long and confusing. I can't follow a battle. I don't understand where flanking is happening. Anyways, I have read it. It is a great book. This is a very nice edition. It comes in 2 volumes. I think that might actually be a Heritage Press that is 1 volume. This one, beautiful. This one has a good, I wish there was smell-o-vision and you could smell my used book smell, but you can't. This is the frontis. Very nice. And then occasionally in this book, fold out illustrations. Fancy. So not only are you reading War and Peace, but it feels like you're reading something significant. It's got the fold out illustrations. Feels like you're there. Also, this book is referred to in a book that I love. I talked about this before. I did a video about books. These are some of my favorites. Lawrence and Nancy Goldstone wrote Used and Rare and Slightly Chipped about their adventures of falling in love with nice editions of books. The Promised Land. And in one of these, I can't remember which, they refer to the Heritage Press edition of War and Peace and say that the footnotes are extremely good. I agree. It's a wonderful edition. And this one, as opposed to the Folio, you could probably get War and Peace for $10 or $20 on eBay, and it is a wonderful edition. Also, I highly recommend Frankenstein. This is a great book. It is hard to get because Frankenstein's super popular. Also, if you're into slightly creepy books, this is going to be a harder one to find a nice gift quality, pretty on the shelf quality copy of Frankenstein, something vintage. This one you can get in a used bookstore if you're lucky, maybe $10 or $15. Now around Halloween on eBay, it's going to cost you $25 to $50, but you can find a copy. It looks good on the shelf. It has this creepy illustration on the cover. It's kind of a tweed fabric on the cover, so it feels like this is a real book, right? Put some money into this. Production quality is good. I'm trying to find an illustration for you. It has at the beginning of the chapters these nice big capital letters with a little bit of illustration. And it has sort of two-tone, colorized illustrations throughout, and it does make you feel like you're reading something creepy. Not just because they're creepy. The way that they did this is kind of creepy. So I enjoy this edition, especially Halloween, and it is I think if this was a folio Frankenstein, I can't even imagine how much that would cost. That would be a serious investment. But the Heritage Press you can get for a reasonable amount of money. I also like at Halloween the sketchbook. Why, you might ask? The sketchbook. Washington Irving wrote the sketchbook, and one of the stories in it is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I was going to say Ichabod Crane. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is in this book, and I enjoy a good Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I can show you. In this edition, there are some colorized photo illustrations, some color illustrations, and throughout the text, and then some sort of black and white. Heritage Press, depending on what used copy you buy, they came originally as a sort of subscription service, and they came with a periodical called the Sandglass. I have never heard an explanation about why it is called the Sandglass. If anyone knows, please tell me. I would love to know. And it has a little bit of history about the book and the edition, and it is really fun. So if you're going to buy a copy in a used bookstore, I would pay another $1 if it had the Sandglass in it. I love having them. So you can see these editions are similar to the folio. The other thing I want to point out is the slipcase. The folio edition, this is a very heavy material, and it is sturdy. I have not found a folio where the slipcase was in not great condition. They usually hold up very well. I like the lighter colored ones slightly better, the red one. What happens is they get a little scuffed back here from taking them on and off of shelves. The darker color ones are going to get a little bit more obvious wear because it's black. So any kind of dust, any kind of shelf wear shows up a little bit more on these. But the material is very good. Heritage Press is not quite as fancy. It's more of a, this feels more, Heritage Press feels almost like a heavy tagboard. No, not tagboard. It's a heavier material. This feels closer to cardboard. The covering on it, the colorization is not quite as thick, so it tends to scuff a little easier on the corners. And often the Heritage Presses, when you find them in a used bookstore, especially when you're paying a bargain price like me, they give up the ghost on the join. So you have to definitely look them over when you buy them. This one is separating, right? And you can see how they're glued sort of along here, and this will sometimes fail basically. And occasionally you'll see them where the bottom piece is missing, and they don't look quite as fancy on the shelf. This is the outside, and from taking the book in and out, the outer layer that's colored kind of comes away from the other material. So if you have a copy that has really been read and loved, taking it in and out of the slipcase on the Heritage Presses, it will show the wear. And on the folios, not as much. It's just a heavier material. So you can see why the folios can command a slightly higher price than the Heritage Presses. That just makes sense. But they're still, what a nice addition. So I recommend both. If you have the chance to pick up a folio, definitely go for it. And if you have the chance to pick up a Heritage Press of a book that either you love or you want to love, it's a great way to go. If you're buying a gift for someone who loves a book, I think if they love a book and you find a Heritage Press or a folio of it, that is an amazing gift. So let me know if you are a folio or Heritage Press collector, or if you have some, or if you love them. I would love to hear from you. Thank you for watching. Happy reading.